study,
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
The best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
All right, so getting back to the White House Correspondents Dinner from Saturday night. Few of our guests today were there. I had a chance to catch up early this morning with my friend Brian Kilmeade. Does a great job following me each and every morning here on 77 WABC, Fox and Friends and One Nation, 10 p.m. Sunday nights. Brian, good morning. You were there on Saturday night. Tell me, in the building, in that room, how chaotic was it?
I'll tell you what, Sid, it was pretty impressive. There wasn't a lot of screaming. There wasn't like, what's going on here? Dan Scavino got up and yelled, USA, USA. No one really backed him up. Not that they didn't back him up, not that they don't believe in the country, but they were just trying to figure out what was happening. But for the most part, you watched, just picture being at an event, a theater, anything, and just watch people running full speed right up the aisle. And you think to yourself, this is disordinate. And then you look up at the dais and everyone's on the ground. And then they're being escorted out. And then all of a sudden you see the Secret Service, uniformed and ununiformed, grabbing. Everyone had a different assignment. They knew that Tulsi Gabbard was right next to me. She's out. They knew that Erica Kirk did not have a detail, but quickly they grabbed her because they saw she was traumatized, obviously, and she was shaking under the table, and they grabbed her. That was 2 seats away from me. And then, in front of us, Mark Wayne Mullen, they went, and you see Pete Hegseth being brought the other way. So you saw first the day is clear, then the officials clear, and then you wonder, were they chasing somebody in the room, or was everything happening outside? And was the banging that you heard, because I'm not from a war zone, I'm hearing banging. It wasn't deafening. So you heard banging. It could have been like someone being thrown against the wall. So that happened outside. Now, the one thing that has not been answered yet is the 10 shots. 5 to 10 shots got off. Wow. Who got hit? What got hit? This guy did some training. So, and what guts it took, and we don't know this side of the story yet, for the agents to take this guy down. So you're shooting. One guy gets shot in the chest. The vest saves him. Unlike Jonathan Diller, where it got under the vest, this guy gets saved by that, but knowing that he had to take a bullet in order maybe for the other guys to jump on. And I talked to an official last night, extremely senior, and he said, yeah, he goes, they all tackled him. So that took tremendous guts too. And then when, if he got in that room, I'm telling you, Sid, it would have been carnage. It would have been because you could not move. Literally, I could not walk between tables. I had to go, listen, I got to walk through. Can you get up? And I'll go up to these strangers because I was hanging back to the last minute to walk into the room because I knew once I got in, I'm not moving. So when I walked in, everybody was seated. And I'm telling you, I've been to 10 White House Correspondents Dinners. I've never seen it like this. So 2,100 people, no room between tables. This was the utter definition of a fire hazard. If everyone panicked, it would have been, people would have really got hurt. But nobody panicked, which is tremendous.
Yeah, did you actually hear the gunshots from the room?
I'll tell you what, I heard a banging, but most of all, when I knew this was real was the smell. I smelled gunpowder. And I was, in retrospect, I was probably 100 yards from where this whole thing happened. So I'm way by the dais, right? I'm table 134, which is very close to the front, just to the left, so more on the vice president's side. So I'm far away, and I'm smelling this. And I'm standing up. I'm just thinking to myself, maybe I can help, but I just want to know who's who, because I don't know. Does a guy dress up like he's a Secret Service agent and try to run through? Are they chasing somebody? But what they were doing is going after officials. So, and again, this is the third time this is happening in a year and a half. So what's going on here? And then you drill down, they're calling the president a danger to democracy. They're saying this. This is guy in his screed, in his manifesto. He feels it's his almost civic duty to take out the president. What does that sound like? Same thing, shooter. Some people can't be talked to. I got to take it upon myself. Luigi, you know what? Healthcare's a mess in this country. I got to start killing people, and they feel like martyrs. These are not gangsters. No parents, tattoos, in and out of prison. Well, society has let them down. Well, that's a different discussion. These guys have resources. This guy's living with his parents. This guy's a teacher. He won Teacher of the Month. These guys got an advanced degree in engineering. So don't tell me that life gave him a bad hand. He's somehow watching what we're watching, listening to what we're listening to, and saying, I got to kill. So I think we need to step back and say, I'm not saying me and you. I'm saying that when you look at the way they're going at each other in Washington, the lawmakers, and the way they try to go after Trump is so cataclysmic that we have to just change it to, I disagree with the ballroom. I disagree with his border policy, rather than he is a fascist. He is a Hitler. And then what do you expect these marginalized people who already have a screw loose to think? I mean, we have to stop denying there's a relationship there.
I agree. And he took Norah O'Donnell to the woodshed last night when she mentioned rapist and pedophile, and she deserved that. But that's what they do. Like, I love Bongino yesterday on Fox News because he said what I say all the time. This is not about two sides. There is one side that tried to kill Steve Scalise, that has tried to kill President Trump 3 times, that has killed Charlie Kirk. That's not our side. We're not perfect, but to compare the two, to put them in the same sentence, is ridiculous. The left has completely lost control. I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about the media. I'm talking about your next-door neighbor. The left has gone completely insane. One last thing, I did see you on Fox News yesterday with Lawrence Jones. I was listening to Rachel. I should be watching Rachel Campos all morning long. I thought she was a little tough on Secret Service, but the truth is the guy did make it past the initial perimeter, I guess, and got to the door of the ballroom. In the end, President Trump texted me yesterday morning, which I was very happy about, and he was quick to say, hey, Sid, great job by my Secret Service last night. That's how he feels, but like I said, Campos, Jones, and others, they are still taking Secret Service to task this morning. What do you think?
Couple of things. I didn't go to the academy. I didn't train. I didn't even do a report if I wasn't in bed and even went for a week. So I am not going to say the problem is the perimeter. The problem is this. But I think there's some things that can be looked at. I think that maybe you don't do things in a hotel setting anymore. I mean, we did our Patriot Awards. Yeah, we did it in a hotel at the Hard Rock. But that thing was, I think it was Hard Rock. It was totally sealed up. The theater was totally different. So our guys had no problem figuring out a security plan. I mean, this is a huge hotel. Huge hotel. So if you can't, maybe it's too hard to set up a perimeter and not destroy the Hilton business who needs every weekend possible. You can't just tell these guys, empty out your hotel. Nobody else is going to be here. Maybe it's got to be in a convention center where you can do things like that. But, they've been doing this since 1928, Calvin Coolidge. So I imagine there's a template there that's been effective. So I think that I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but I am surprised that he got that close with a rifle that was screwed together in the back room. This was spotted by a witness. They watched him squatting down by bar carts, screwing together his rifle, and then walking in with a gun, and then just sprinting full speed upstairs and through, and then he got through one magnetometer. If you told me that could happen, I would say no way. So the fact that they're going to look at this, I think that they acted heroically in the moment. But if you want to tell me that the game plan and the game plan and the security plan wasn't adequate, I'm all ears. But I am not going to tell the Secret Service what to do. Dan Bongino can. He did this for 15 years. So I got to know. And I made the analogy you can really relate to. There's a lot of people who hop on the air on sports radio every single day and say, I know more than the GM, I know more than the players, I know more than the owners. Okay? Yeah. Did you do the work? At least, did you go to the locker rooms? Did you go see the people? Did you go interact with draft experts? Did you go to the combines? And then you give me your opinion. But if you just sit behind the microphone, you read Street and Smith, and then you're going to tell me that you know more than every of these teams, I'm not really going to pay attention, but it doesn't matter. It's sports. Now you're going to tell me you know how to set up the perimeter from the White House Correspondents Dinner? I'm going to tell you that I'm surprised it got so far, but I am not going to say definitively either way because you got to stay in your lane. But I'm going to ask the questions of the people that know, and I think that's your approach too.
No, fair enough. Absolutely. Paul Morrow is joining me next, and I'm going to ask him those same questions. But, yeah, Dan Bongino was not critical of the Secret Service. Again, President Trump went out of his way on television and in a personal text to me to thank his Secret Service. So, we got to see exactly what that situation is. Anyway, I'm glad you're safe. I was worried about you and Bill O'Reilly, all my good friends, but you are a must-listen to today. I know you usually join me on Fridays. We'll do it again the end of the week. But, folks, make sure you listen to Brian Kilmeade. He's coming up at 10 o'clock right after me. A must-listen to. You just heard him for the last 10 minutes. He's got details that no one else has. He was in the room. And, again, Brian Kilmeade, thank God you're okay. Thanks for a few minutes this morning.
All right, Sid, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right, pal, have a great day. Brian Kilmeade right there. We'll take a short break and talk to one of his colleagues, Paul Morrow at Fox News. He's coming up next.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?